Oh man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is? Tuesday. Brewsday, Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's time for Brewsday Tuesday. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
Indeed, a Brewsday Tuesday. Yours truly, DreZ, Big Nate in the studio. And I have made my return from.
We are very glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. I'm not going to lie. 4 days, I think maybe I'm just too old for it now. 4 days is a lot of rock and metal in the heat, just constant. So I had this realization even during the festival. I'm like, I'm sure I'm going to look back on this weekend fondly, but right now I'm about done. You're on your feet all day. It's hot. You're drinking and you're moshing. You're doing all this stuff, man. And I'm not a young lad anymore.
There was no like weather issues though, correct? Like it was basically just hot all the time. Like no rain, no storms.
The best day actually was so on Thursday, it was fine. And everybody was saying that it's going to rain the next 2 days. It was raining on Friday morning, like a drizzle type deal. But by the time I walked through those gates of the festival, not a single drop of rain the entire weekend, actually. But it was overcast. So that was actually nice on Friday. That was probably the nicest day weather-wise.
I was gonna say it
I would
feels like
almost say.
with a lot of those festivals, it seems like every time you go to one, there tends to be a day that's just like an absolute downpour, with
Washout.
thunderstorms, and
Well, that was actually the day we got there because when we pulled up, or no, the whole drive to Columbus, it was like raining off and on and whatnot. And right when we pulled up to the Airbnb is when it just unleashed. And we honestly just waited in the car for a little while, hoping it would subside, but it didn't. And then I was just like, let's just do it. And the padlock to get the key out of the front door wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't
So
gonna work
out
on your
there just
first
getting
go.
poured out on, carrying all this stuff. Had to go back to the car under the hood thing. I'm messaging the guy, find out a way to go in the side entrance, which just has no gutter at all. I mean, a waterfall as I'm trying to put that coat in. I was just completely soaked once we finally walked through that door. But I can talk a lot, but we need to get to drinking. So I'm going to go ahead and say what I have. All these beers are from Columbus. This one is Wolf's Ridge Brewing, as I said, out of Columbus. This is their Walking Taco, a Mexican lager with lime at 4.5%, 9 IBUs, a 12 fluid ounce can. And it says right here, a classic Mexican brew gets the Midwestern treatment like tasty tacos crunched up in your favorite bag of chips. Our Mexican style lager with lime is sure to be a crushable crowd pleaser for any occasion, whether you're on the go or posted up on a patio. There's nothing like a walking taco.
I like that they're owning the Midwest aspect of a Mexican.
They're not even
lager.
trying to do it.
They're not gonna hide it. We know what we're about. I've got the Salud. It's an amber Mexican style lager from Seventh Sun Brewing. I don't have a nearly as funny synopsis. It's this lager is refreshing and satisfying. Its flavor and aroma are perfectly balanced between malt and hops. It's 5.0 ABV, and I tell you to keep cold and serve it at 45 degrees. I don't have my thermometer.
It might be around there.
Feels like it's around there.
I actually have it in my little cooler because I brought that cooler. I was like, oh, if I just leave them in there, then I can just bring it all in the studio. We don't have to run out during the song to
It does
grab
make
the
things
next
easier.
beers. Yeah, a little bit. So, interestingly enough, let me think about this for a second, but I think I'm right in saying the only beer I drank at the festival was a Mexican lager. So
When
I
it's
thought
hot
those would
out,
be
it's
appropriate.
perfect.
Well, the only reason I got it was because that was the only beer that they had that I hadn't had before. And it was funny because I went to the craft beer bar, which was this long section of just cans, beers in cans. They used to have a great spot that you could get craft draft, and it was all like local and stuff. They had what is it, the Bodie from Columbus Brewing. Nothing else. That was the only thing local. They had the hazy little thing, Zombie Dust, that lager.
Your-
I
your
can't remember.
mouth
I checked it in. Yeah.
Distributed
Yeah.
craft beers.
Nothing. I mean, and not to say that I don't like those, but
When
I
you're
always
going
like
to
to
a
try
festival, you
something
want the
new and
experience.
something
Yeah, I
different.
get that.
So I was a little disappointed in that. So I was just drinking whiskey the whole weekend, pretty much.
Which is not a bad way to go.
That's the good. It
More
was
bang for your buck.
exactly the best way to do it. So, but yeah, man, it was a good festival. I thoroughly enjoyed a number of bands, as you would imagine.
There were some bands there.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest standout?
Stand out to me, like biggest kind of
Because I mean, that was a
surprise.
killer lineup.
I'll tell you the biggest standout, and you would know. It would have to be, indeed, the original Misfits, which it does kind of bother me that they go by the original Misfits. They shouldn't have to do that. I
Gracias.
don't. It just seems unnecessary, but I understand why they dubbed themselves that. So let me tell you about that show. The reason why I liked it for numerous reasons, but I think maybe, I mean, the music aside, which they did very well. I think the thing that I liked about it, it was my first time the whole weekend really being up in the pit and stuff. And I was next to this guy who I never got his name, but I was in the pit with him for that and the following night for Pantera. I dubbed him Chief because he reminded me of the Indian dude from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, just a giant guy. And he was pretty young. He seemed young, but a bigger fella. And he was just hilariously berating Glenn Danzig essentially through the entire set, just calling him fat and like making fun of him, how winded he was and stuff. And then so he would shout between songs, he would like shout stuff. And then that encouraged other people around us to like just same thing.
Poor
Just,
Danzig.
I was in the heckling section, man. It was hilarious. It was so, you know, you could tell it was like done with love and stuff. So that was what was great. And that was my first Misfits show. So I don't know if that's a normal thing, but it really amplified the experience for me personally. And of course, just great songs. You know, I think they played like 25 songs because they're all like 2.5
like
minutes.
2.5 minutes.
You know, so
max.
it's just like bam, 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 wham, bam, bam. And you had everybody. I mean, you had Jerry Only, you had Glenn, you had Doyle, you had Dave Lombardo on drums, which was pretty cool. So that was the standout.
See, yeah,
I didn't bring it. I got you that shirt, but I had to buy.
You had to buy two.
Oh, yeah, I had to buy me a shirt because they actually had custom ones for just that exact date. You know, I always, when I go to buy concert tees, I lean towards the ones that have the tour dates on the back because it's a way to remember when and where you saw them, and it's also like unique to that tour and everything versus just a shirt you could buy online or whatever. And I think, I mean, you know, I have the Sonic Temple Festival shirt. I always get those, but I can't remember any other instance where I have a day specific,
only.
a show specific shirt like that. So I was like, well, I got to get one of those. So
I've got one from, I saw Rob Zombie at the 930 Club. And I mean, that was a wild show. That's the only one I've got that's remotely like that. But yeah, I mean, original Misfits not going on a traditional tour, that does make it like even more special. I think.
So that was definitely one of the standouts for sure. It was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I thought that was fun.
I've never, so I've seen, I saw the Misfits with Graves. I saw the Misfits with Jerry Only singing, but I've never had the chance to see the OG. I've seen Doyle in like both of his side projects as well.
What is he on, man? Like, I've seen
There's no way you're a vegan and you're that jacked.
Well, actually, I've heard to the contrary because I've watched, what was that called? There's some documentary about that with like all the bodybuilders that don't eat meat and stuff. And then the argument is like, well, think of a gorilla. they're vegetarians and
That's
they're
true.
about the most leanest muscle,
That's
like
true.
so it can be done, but dude, he is just
He's a
jacked. And I
monster
don't
of a
know
human.
how old is he?
He's in his 50s.
It's ridiculous.
he's well
He's
into his
definitely
50s.
on some stuff. You can't be that. I don't know.
I-
And then of course you got Danzig just with his pot belly. Somebody told me a hilarious story about Danzig that they bumped into him leaving a show or something, and they turned around. They just heard all they heard was someone say, "I want that dog." And then he turned around and saw Glenn Danzig with a girl under each arm, his belly hanging out. And he wasn't talking about like a cool dog. He was looking at a hot dog truck. He was saying, I want some hot dogs.
Oh no.
He was quite out of breath between the songs.
Yeah,
But
it's-
I mean, that's not an easy thing.
He's
to
not a
do.
young
and
guy
he's
anymore.
not a young guy, or but
Because I mean,
it was just so fun being around those people here in America.
no, that's the
It was
best way to
great.
go to a show. That's one of my favorite like things to do at a baseball game. But I think the lasting image I will always have of Doyle is the man's a monster of a human, and the fact that he feels the need to wear platform boots makes it even more terrifying. But the bubble gum, was he chewing a lot of bubble gum on stage?
I didn't. He was on
'Cause,
the far side. I mean, they moved around a little bit, but for the most part, I had Jerry in front of me.
He stands up there while he's playing, and he's just like blowing bubbles with his bubble
Oh,
gum. and
yeah,
it's
see,
the
I didn't-
it's
I
like
didn't pick up
just
on
so
that.
out of place.
But again, I was right up there, not in the pit for the whole time, but on the edge of the pit. So had pretty bruised arms, just pushing people off. I got in for Last Caress, of course. I want to say they opened with Die Die, My Darling. No, but that was early on the set. That was just their third song. Die Die, My Darling. It was good. And half of the songs they introed with like, you can't write a song like this anymore, or
Which
just
is
like,
accurate.
you guys ready to cancel us?
Did
That
they
kind
play
of stuff.
Bullet? Was Bullet on the
Yep,
cell?
yep,
Yeah.
they
That
played
one you
Bullet.
definitely can't get away with.
I think that was one that
That's
specifically did get an intro.
my
Same with
all-time
Last
favorite.
Caress. That one got that sort of an intro. They said, well, it's not Halloween, so sorry, folks. All right, we'll play it anyway. That
gotta
kind
play
of usual
Halloween.
stuff. It was a great show. That was
No,
one of them.
it's
That's why I had to buy the shirt. There was a few other bands that I was tempted to buy a shirt for, but BB doesn't like me having all these concert shirts anymore, and I really do have hundreds. So I was only going to do it if it was really necessary, and I felt that way with the Misfits. I went to go
I
buy.
appreciate this shirt so much.
I went to buy a helmet shirt because I just kind of scoped it out early. I've learned, you don't buy the shirt beforehand.
No.
But this is why some people do, because they had a design that was really cool, and I was stoked to see Helmet. And then sure enough, they were awesome. And then I went to, and that shirt was completely gone. And in fact, the only other Helmet shirt, they only had it in size small. So I was like, well, missed that boat. But again, it kind of helped out because I don't need more shirts. The other thing was Royal Blood really crushed it, and they had a pretty sweet shirt, and I thought about getting it, but I decided not to.
It's interesting. I was talking to your lovely wife over the weekend, and she,
Oh yes, thanks for having her over for
oh,
dinner.
it was an
really
absolute
appreciated
blast,
that.
But she has volunteered your mother to make us t-shirt quilts.
Oh, Mom's been wanting to do that for me for a long time, and I don't want to do it because I don't want my t-shirts to be not t-shirts. I don't want them to be destroyed. I probably will end up doing, but what am I going to have? Like just 50 t-shirt quilts? Like, I mean, what?
You can never have too many quilts. As someone like that's one of those things. My grandmother like is big into quilting, and like I absolutely love the quilts. I love that I have those. I love that I'm gonna have those after she passes. But I don't really want my grandmother making a quilt with a t-shirt with Sherry Moon's breasts on it.
See the t-shirt.
Not that close with my grandmother.
I have my mom's already made me one. It's of my like Virginia Tech shirts, like all the different bowl games that I've gone to, and some Maroon Effect, Orange Effect, all that stuff. But the difference is I don't wear Tech shirts. I wear band shirts.
Yeah.
So these are all shirts that like I would still potentially want to wear at some point, or would want somebody to wear them because they would appreciate how awesome these shirts are, And I feel like if you cut them up, then
That's true.
it's done. You can't wear it anymore. It's ruined.
So yeah, I'm all aboard. I've got shirts that I like in my regular rotation that I've had to retire that I would be willing to make that sacrifice.
There are a few that I have just worn out just too much. And so I have thought about that. But yeah, I don't know. I did get a couple more shirts. I'll probably wear them over the next couple weeks when I'm sprinkling in these beers. So that's the other thing. So these beers obviously didn't come from the festival. I got a variety pack at like the Kroger. They had enough that I could fill easily. I probably could have bought 2 6-packs of Columbus beers. So shout out to whatever Kroger that was. They had a great craft beer selection, local craft beer selection.
That's their version of Gucci Kroger.
Exactly. It was. They actually have a liquor store inside the Kroger.
Yeah,
That's how they
why
do it up
can't the
there.
state of Virginia just get on board with that, please?
It was pretty convenient. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But the other thing was they also had some just variety 12 packs of stuff that I'd never had. So I went ahead and grabbed a couple of those. So that'll be a show's worth in the future. So we can talk a little bit more about this or that, the festival stuff. But first things first, let's go ahead. This is a craft beer show. So let's talk about this craft beer a little bit. The Walking Taco Mexican Lager with lime. The one that I had at the festival, it wasn't bad, but this one is sitting much better. It didn't have the lime. When you're having a Mexican lager, that lime, that twist of lime makes all the difference. So if it doesn't have it built in like this one does, you're going to want a little squeeze of lime in there. So this is very well done. Nice and easy drinker, 4.5%. Another great ABV for a festival. So this is just primo festival beer. Nice, light, easy drinker. You get that hint of lime. It's got the bit of saltiness that you're looking for as well with the lager. Walking Taco, stamp of approval, 4.5, dude. This is good beer. It's hitting the spot.
Yeah. This the lime I think would be a difference here for me. This amber Mexican style lager, the Salud from Seventh Son. It's tasty. It's hot out today. I really want that lime in here. But it's pretty damn good. I'm gonna give it a 4.25. I would drink it again. I would buy it if I saw it in a Kroger build your own 6-pack.
All right, absolutely. Well, I'll give you a little bit of this lime, so that'll tickle that itch. So, for those, if you're not watching the Facebook Live or the YouTube, I did get Nate a Misfits button-up shirt. So I guess it's not a button-up tee, right? That's like a
Yeah, it's
what
like
would you
a
call
work
that?
shirt is what I've always called it.
Yeah, like I thought it was Dickies when I was looking up at it and saw the logo, but it's not. But it's that kind of, that sort of shirt.
I love these.
I got.
And I can never find good ones. So I'm bravo. I love this.
Oh, I'm glad you do. I got and I got that other Misfit shirt. I didn't bring it. I wanted to wear my Sonic Temple shirt, but I did have one other shirt that I got over the weekend, and I'll wear it on a future show. But that is not the only thing that I got you.
Oh,
You'll see what else I got you coming up on a special Sonic Temple recap, Brewsday Tuesday. We'll be drinking some more beers and talking a little bit more about the festival coming up. Stick around.